Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Diego Fernandez, and on behalf of Turismo de Tenerife, welcome to the third day of the Tenerife Walking Festival. After our two first webinars today, we are having an interesting discussion. We are going to talk about this COVID situation. The health crisis arising out of COVID-19 has weakened the foundation of the tourist industry. With tourist flows at an all-time low, we are at a moment of reflection and looking ahead on the long term. So, what opportunities can we identify? What are the challenges we need to take on? We need to reinvent ourselves and offer new things for tourists. This type of tourism will change in the future. Nature tourism seems to emerge stronger as a viable alternative for territories. Today, in this session, we'll present the outlook of different professionals who will analyze the role that hiking may play in this context. Today, as presenter and moderator, we have Xavier Cazorla, ecotourism expert. So I give him the floor and he will introduce us the other speakers. Hello, Javier, are you there? Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much to the Island Council of Tenerife, and especially you, Diego Fernandez, for this presentation. For me, it's a great honor to be here today in this debate. Today, I'm going to welcome everyone, every participant, every hikers who are going to be with us today in this small journey we are going to do here in Tenerife and in other places at the Spanish mainland. First, I'm going to start with the title of this final webinar of the Tenerife Walking Festival. This is a webinar related to sustainability and hiking. These two words are very important nowadays in times of COVID. So today we have excellent speakers, and then we will have a great end too. Now I'm going to introduce our four speakers. First, we have Javier Chiribella. He is a co-founder of Canarias Nature Guides. Javier is a 15-year experience guide, and he will talk us about the experiences you can live in the north of the island, how you can combine hiking and tourism. Then you have Otero de Pablo. He's ecotourist guide. She's an entrepreneur. She's an enthusiastic woman. And she founded Territorio Rampinge together with another colleague. She's also a member of Ecotourist Collective Northeast of Segovia. She will present us this collective. She's here with us next to the Duratón River in Segovia. Then we have Cesc. We are going to cross part of the mainland. We arrived to Tornafort in Pallars at the Pyrenees. He's the founder of Ramat de Camins, and he's also in charge of the hiking festival of the Pyrenees. He will discover us his project, this Ramat de Camins project. This is an initiative which links a story, a book. I have this book together with me today. I will mention this book later. And also how we can link all these festivals. I think there are in total 13 festivals, and they are all linked with hiking. And finally, a special mention to Patri Sala from the Val d'Aran on the other side of the Pyrenees. She's also guide, and she's managing the Camins company. She has been working on this project for almost 20 years. Her company has been awarded this year with a prize linked to Fitur, particularly active tourist, and the Val d'Aran Walking Festival. Patri will talk us about this Val d'Aran Walking Festival and some sustainable activities they have been carried out. So with these speakers, I'm sure the discussion will be very, very interesting. So before starting with some questions, you at home, you can also participate in this discussion. You can fill in a brief survey. We have a tool, and we're going to ask you to introduce 5 ideas, 5 main ideas related to sustainability and hiking. How can this tourist sector be competitive in the future? We hope to have a lot of replies later, after half an hour or so. So now we are going to start with the questions, and I hope we have a very interesting discussion. So if you are at home, please tell us your experience and tell us your questions. Now we are going to start with Javier from Tenerife. Before the tourist break due to COVID, Tenerife has been very important in terms of tourists. Normally, this island receives 600,000 tourists a year, around 10% of the total. This is a very important sector for the island, so I would like to look back, and maybe could you please tell us if in terms of sustainability this sector was a sustainable sector, or if there were some problems, some difficulties for nature. Could you please tell us more information how this hiking sector has worked in the last years? First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It is an honor for me to be here today in this 6th edition of the Tenerife Walking Festival. So yes, Xavi, undoubtedly Tenerife is known for decades for tourists, for sun and beaches. This is a great winter destination for tourists, particularly for European tourists. But we have managed little by little to become famous for other activities. As you already mentioned, approximately 10% of the tourists visiting the island were interested in active tourism, particularly in hiking. This transformation from a sun and beach destination to a destination which can combine hiking and other natural activities, I think this has been a great idea in the last years. We have been working from the authorities, we have been working in this sense. The authorities want to also focus in inland activities, not only sun and beaches, but they also want to focus on sustainable activities. I think sustainability is very, very important. At the beginning, when we thought about sustainability in hiking, we just thought about the sticks, but now we think in other things, like for example the preservation of the landscapes. We also have some challenges, of course, because Tenerife has been evolving throughout the years. Nowadays it's not only a beach and tourist destination, but also a destination for hiking. Maybe we are starting to see some mass tourism in some areas, so we need to take some measures in order to avoid this situation. We have seen that some areas are more interesting than others, so tourists just go there, and undoubtedly here we have some challenges, of course. Challenges regarding legislation, regulations in these areas. I don't know if we need to distribute this type of tourists all over the island, or if we need to bring some opportunities. I'm aware we are in a moment of change. Well, this group of tourists want to experience a local product. Normally, they are going to places, to different places, not just sun and beach now. We also have another challenge. We want to have a sustainable hiking with a purpose. It is not just walking. For example, from our company and from other companies within the Charter of Sustainability for Nature Activities, we want to teach tourists about our natural and cultural heritage. We need to teach them, because if we don't want them to be just 10% but 100%, we need to learn how to manage this situation, and we also need to teach them about our natural heritage and how to preserve our landscapes. First, we thought it was just for our own pleasure. It was a person who just wanted to go to a place and enjoy this place. But now we have hikers coming here to Tenerife who want to enjoy our landscapes. And we also have local people who also want to enjoy our landscapes and do hiking. They think about enjoying, but they also want to preserve and support these new local places, these small villages, for example, these new tourist destinations. I think this is now a challenge we have to face in the coming years. Now we are starting to see this situation, to see this new profile of tourists coming to these small places in Tenerife, and we need to learn how to solve this problem in the future. Well, our challenges have obviously changed, and we have a long way to go in the future. We need to work hard if we want to preserve these natural spaces, and we also need to bring an opportunity to these people who traditionally were outside of these routes. Thank you, Javi. Very interesting your idea. There are different approaches regarding sustainability. When we talk about sustainability, we have an environmental sustainability, and it is great to see how these companies want to promote this sustainability, not to leave any footprint, any rubbish. And it is also important to see the importance of local traditions, local culture, for example, and even the inclusion of everyone, not to leave everyone behind. You want everyone to be involved in this hiking activity. Hiking is a right for everyone, and we need to take advantage of them. And lastly, it is also important to mention the economic approach of this activity.
Seguramente el senderismo, y lo veremos ahora en diferentes ejemplos, genera ese reparto distribuido porque no solo gana la empresa que acompaña, sino también
is a good activity to see how the economy can be distributed among local companies, local shops where you can buy a souvenir, and also food shops, accommodation facilities. This is a wide economy, and I would like to go in depth in this question, and I would like to talk about this with Otero. Otero started 1 year ago with her project, a hiking company specialized in Nordic walking, together with other activities. And Otero, I would like to ask you, how did you start with this crazy idea? How did you decide to go ahead with your project in this northeast part of Segovia? How could you professionally do it? Could you please tell us more about the origins of Territorio Rampinge? Where are you going now? Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this festival. I think it is a pleasure to share this experience with so many people with such an experience. We are just at the beginning of our project, so I hope to learn a lot.
Pues a ver,
Well,
nosotros siempre hemos estado vinculadas al pueblo.
we have been
Nuestros
always
padres son
linked
de
with
Castrillo de
our
Sepúlveda
village.
y siempre teníamos ahí en la
Our parents are from
cabeza que
Castrillo de
teníamos que volver,
Sepúlveda,
que teníamos que hacer
and
algo en
we
nuestro pueblo
always wanted to come back to our
después por
village and
circunstancias
do
personales y
something. Then,
profesionales,
for personal
pues
circumstances and also
mi
professional
socia Nuria se
circumstances,
vio obligada a
my
volver al pueblo.
partner came back to our village, and well, the situation was quite complicated, quite difficult. We were aware that rural things were not easy at all, so we decided to start something. We wanted to join nature and sports, both of our passions, and then we were thinking about what could we do here. We discovered in our region the sports option were not a lot. There were some companies focused, for example, on hiking, but not on sports. So we wanted locals to have more leisure opportunities. So we thought, well, we can do something. And that's why we decided to create our company. For example, in Madrid, it is very common to see people walking with sticks, and we decided to do the same here in our region. Well, we are going to teach locals and visitors something new, a new type of sports, and you can do it open air in the nature. And this is how we started our project. So Territorio Rampije has two sides. A local school for locals with classes throughout the week, and other side for classes during the weekends with some experiences. And in this last side, we combine locals and people who come to the village during the weekends, and also visitors who came to our region. And we have focused this sustainability in terms of small groups. For example, we want people to uncommon places, not the normal places you can find out on the internet, but other marvelous places and unknown places too. And we also offer local products, products from our region, and we promote all these products here. Great, thank you very much, Otelo, and congratulations for your project, for Be So Brave. I think your project is amazing. Now I'm going to make a quote from a book I mentioned before. It is a book from Núria García Quera. Not Viaje al Pirineo is the title of the book. At the beginning, she says something: if the earth is not walk, you don't love the earth. I think this is true. The paths are a type of heritage you need to walk through in order to love it. So we are going to talk now with Cesc Capdevila. He knows about this book, and he has used this book in order to draw the route of Ramat de Camins. So, to what extent is specialization important within hiking? Could you please tell us more about cultural sustainability and how this cultural sustainability can be linked to hiking? Good afternoon, everyone. As you already know, I am very happy to be here, to be able to share my experience today. Well, we started this project, as Xavi said, from a trip carried out by Camilo José Cela and Josep Maria Espinar in 1966 through the Lleida Pyrenees. Locals from Pallars Jussá, Pallars Sobirà, They carried out all type of activities. For example, 50 years later, they hired a writer, Nuria García Quera, and the purpose was to compare the different landscapes between 1965 and 2006. And I became aware of all this because Nuria García Quera is my wife. We have traveled all over the world. We have hiked, we have been to Nepal, Morocco, the Andes. And every time we came back here, we said, well, we don't have to be yellow. So I think this is a place with great potential. And I thought, well, we need to design a product with great versatility, a product that combines gastronomy, hiking, 314 kilometers hike, and we are able to open 2 new markets to get to many people. So, well, at the beginning, you realize you need to specialize and you need to value some things. You need to teach your passion for the products you are going to offer, and this is how we started to do. After this 15-stage route, we were aware that not everyone could do every single stage, so we divided these stages in 4 different packages. This route goes along 70 villages through old paths. People enjoy how they discover these new enchanting villages. They love to talk to locals. And then people here from my village, they love to talk to new visitors. People living in this area are very proud to live here, and also visitors love to come here and to talk to locals, as I already said. So I think specialization is very, very important. But you need to have a background. And in Ramat de Camins, we have a project regarding the maintenance of path. People can help us with this project because we need to preserve this path. As Xavi already said, this is a world heritage. And I'm very happy when I was told to do a talk. I discovered 92% of the money invested by visitors doing this route was linked with this Ramat de Camins project. Thank you very much, Cesc. You have talked about different approaches regarding social, economic, cultural side, etc. How you distribute the benefits among the different agencies involved. And I would like to talk about this type of client, this type of tourist who is searching for different leisure activities, but also activities linked with health, for example. Sustainability is very, very important for visitors when it comes to choose an activity. So now I will like to ask Patri, with her long experience. She started more than 20 years ago with her project dealing with visitors and tourists. Well, I would like her to talk to us about the development of the progression of this type of tourist. For example, she's involved, she's the organizer of the Valdearan Walking Festival. This is a specialized type of tourist, is a tourist aware of this sustainability. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me today. Yes, I started to work in Camins more than 20 years ago. And more than 30 years ago, we started in 1985. The type of tourists has changed a lot throughout the year. Now, tourists are very aware of sustainability. They value sustainability a lot. The type of product we offer is aimed at different type of tourists, as I already said. For example, there are tourists who know how to read a map, are used to hike, they are aware of distances, etc. And then we have other type of tourists who likes hiking, but normally where they live, they don't have path or they can't go, so they want a guide to go with them through this path. And this type of tourist is very different. They are not specialized, they don't know how to read a map, and they are in need of a guide. Little by little, they feel more enthusiastic, and they go from 0 to 100, and they started to hide different type of products with us, for example.
Muy bien, Patri.
Thank you very much, Patri. Now, regarding this festival,
sí me gustaría que nos adelantaras, ¿no? ¿Qué tipo de clientes soléis tener en este festival, en este tipo de actividades que son un poco más colectivas?
Customer do you have in this festival? Well, the type of client we have is mainly hikers. They belong to clubs or associations. And then we have other profile of tourists related to mountaineering. They love hiking. They always want to hike during their holidays, for example, for some days. And that's why they choose this festival, because they have the opportunity to combine not only mountains, but also culture, heritage, gastronomy, local products. They enjoy all these things.
Muy bien, pues muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Patri.
Bueno, ya que hemos calentado un poquito motores,
well,
dejadme que entre más en materia con cuestiones
now
más concretas.
We are going to go in depth with some questions.
Sabéis que
do you know
con este periodo de pandemia
in this pandemic period, society claims for nature, the different lockdowns at home, municipal or territorial lockdowns, they have led people to discover nature, to go open air, to breathe all these things we don't usually have. So now I would like to talk about this overcrowding Javi mentioned at the beginning. We have some examples. For example, Teide National Park. This is one of the most visited places in Europe nowadays. These places focus 22% of visitors in Tenerife. There is a regulation, of course, but Javi, I would like you to talk to us about the preventive measures enforced nowadays. Do you think with this new dynamic, with this new type of tourists we are receiving, do we need to improve or change this legislation so companies can take tourists to, for example, the Teide National Park in an appropriate way. So the environment will not be at risk, for example, because these are fragile environments. Well, Xavi, of course, as you already said, lately we can see on the news that there is an imbalance in some places, for example, at the Teide National Park or in other parts of the islands. But particularly at the Teide National Park, Tenerife is well known for this national park, of course. This is a World Heritage by the UNESCO. On a small island like Tenerife, people normally go to the most famous places where they could find the activity they want, of course. At the Teide National Park, we already have a regulation, but we need to regulate the activity in depth. For example, we have the Teide Peak. Only 200 people a day can climb to the top, and this is one of the most demanded routes in our company. For example, other companies for the charter also offer this very demanded activity. Everyone wants to go to the top of the mountain. There is a regulation in force, and I think this regulation is respected. Almost everyone comply with this regulation, and the sustainable parameters are enforced and are respected too. At the Teide National Park, they also want to have a new regulation plan. All the companies within the charter, we would like to participate and do some contribution, see what is going to happen. Not only locals, but also companies. We all want to know what is going to be regulated and how to find a balance. We, of course, want to preserve this natural space, but we also want to regulate the public use of this natural space. If we should focus in security, or if we should focus in accessibility, or if we are going to lose authenticity, or on the contrary, if we are going to leave mass tourists to arrive. There are different opinions, or if we need to pay to visit Mount Teide or not. All these approaches must be assessed. In our case, we think regulation should be enforced, of course, because there are more and more people coming to the Teide National Park. So, of course, we need to have a regulation in force in order to enjoy this natural space and in order to preserve this space. We don't want to invest in mass tourism, as we already see in other spaces. Thank you very much, Javi. Now I would like to ask this question to some of you, So we can have your opinion. As I said at the beginning, you are linked with a natural protected area, a natural space, a national park. So Otero, you are a new company. You are just at the beginning of your company, so I'm sure you are dealing with the authorities in order to obtain permission, to get permission, and to access to the different natural spaces. So when this happens in regulated areas, you need to follow some proceedings. So what happened to a company when dealing with the authorities? What is your experience? What is your experience when you want to offer your activities in a natural space?
Pues nada, efectivamente, nosotros tenemos
Well, of
algunas de las
course,
rutas que habíamos
some of
preparado
our routes
entran en el parque natural y por lo
enter
tanto
the national
pues
park,
hemos tenido que pedir
and we
permisos
had
y ya
to
sabemos que los
get
trámites
some permissions,
administrativos
and we
pues
know
van despacio.
bureaucracy is
Además tenemos un
very
visto bueno,
slow.
después tiene que pasar al
We also need
siguiente
to have
escalón
the
y al
approval
siguiente hasta que
and
nos
then go
responden.
to the next
Aparte que es
step and then to the
algo
next step.
renovable, porque lo que tú has dicho, al
And this is
ser una empresa nueva, valoran que tu
a
actividad
permission
y
which
tu
have to
declaración
be
responsable parece que todo
renewed,
está bien, pero en X tiempo ellos van a
and then
revisar que
after
realmente tu actividad no tiene impacto,
some time we
que es
need to renew
sostenible y
again your
que se puede
permission. They need to
mantener
check that your
porque
activity is a
efectivamente
sustainable
no ha
activity
dañado
and a type of activity that
el
doesn't
espacio del
damage
parque.
the
Y
environment,
después,
the
por otro
national
lado, es verdad
park.
que las
On the other
restricciones que tenemos
hand,
ahora
there are
mismo
some
por el tema del
restrictions
COVID,
nowadays
pues
due
en
to
ese
the
aspecto
COVID
no nos afectan
situation.
mucho, porque el problema
We are not
es lo
very
que
affected
hablábamos
by
hace un
this
momento.
situation because
O sea, la zona es más reserva o tiene más
this
restricciones
is a
para intentar hacer un daño
protected
menor, pues se ve sobre
area, so
todo influido en el número de
the
personas que
number of
puedes
people
llevar
here is
en la
not
actividad. Y
that
ahora
high.
mismo tenemos el lado bueno
And
de
normally we have the
que
positive
los
side.
grupos son muy pequeños,
We have
lo
small
hacemos al aire
groups.
libre
We do
y por
our
tanto es
activities
una actividad
open air, so
segura
it is a
y ahora
safe
mismo esto
activity.
es lo que el turista
And
busca,
this is what
demanda
tourists
y
are
quiere
looking
hacer.
for
Y
nowadays.
por otro lado, pues el
And on
tema
the
este
other
de
hand,
que cuando entras en un
when
sitio
you
reservado, un parque
enter
natural y todo
a
eso, pues
protected
también
natural
va
space,
implícito el número de personas que llevas. Con lo
the
cual,
number of
yo ahora
people
mismo lo único que
must be
vemos
also a
es pues
small
que
number.
estamos
So
esperando
we
que las respuestas tardan
hope
mucho en llegar. Tanto para decirte
to
que sí que
solve
puedes,
all these
como para
bureaucracy
decirte que no puedes
problems
y
from the
buscar otras
authorities,
alternativas.
if we
Pero bueno,
can
ahí
do
estamos.
our and offer our activities or
Bien, pues
not.
muchas
Let's
gracias,
see what
Otero. La
happen.
realidad
Thank you very much,
me
Otero.
supera digo, la realidad es tozuda, ¿no? Y por tanto,
Yes,
pues insistir en
bureaucracy
este caso creo
is
que
quite
seguro os
hard.
llevará por el buen
I'm
camino.
sure you will
Me gustaría
end
seguir en
in a
esta
good
línea y
point.
comentar también algún
Let's
aspecto vinculado con lo que tú has
continue.
dicho, ¿no? El papel de los guías.
We're going to talk
Al
now
final nuestra
about
actividad es una
the
actividad
role
guiada
of
y me gustaría pues
guides.
preguntarle a Cesc
Now, Cesc,
en
I
relación
would like
al
to
papel del guía
ask you
intérprete, ¿no? Esta
about
es
the
una
role
cuestión también
of
muy
guides.
relevante y muy en boga dentro del sector. De qué manera, en este caso, los diferentes guías pueden ejercer
How
un
the
papel a
different
diferentes
guides
niveles, ¿no?
can play
Un
a
papel
role at
acompañante, por
different
supuesto, para
levels.
reducir el
They
riesgo
can be
para el
a
uso de esa
companion, for
actividad, pero
example,
también un papel vinculado con la sostenibilidad.
and they can also be linked to sustainability.
Los diferentes clientes puedan disfrutar de ese entorno respetándolo
They are
y teniendo una
important
interacción
for
adecuada,
clients
¿no?
to
En
enjoy
ese
with
sentido, me
the
gustaría
environment.
pues,
So,
preguntarle a Cesc,
Cesc,
el que es un guía tanto de
you
fauna como de
as
intérprete y que con una
fauna
experiencia,
guy and also as
que
an
nos comentes
interpreter,
un poco
could you please tell us
cuál es tu impresión,
more
¿no? ¿Cuál es tu
about
percepción acerca
your
de ese papel que pueden tener los
impression
guías, los guías
regarding the
intérpretes
role
para
of
mejorar la sostenibilidad de las
guides,
diferentes actividades
interpreters
de senderismo?
in terms of sustainability for hiking?
Bueno, yo pienso que todo el mundo que
Well,
estamos
I
ahora
think
en este webinar,
everyone here in this
alguna vez en nuestra
webinar,
vida nos ha
at
tocado
least
hacer un
once
trabajo,
in our life, we
un
have
trabajo
carried out work,
lo que sea, que alguien después lo ha tenido que valorar.
and then someone have accessed our work. Maybe the effort we have put in this work has not been assessed a lot. So when we create a sustainable product, the guide discovers visitors or hikers. He or she show them how they can understand the landscape. So for me, the guide is not just a person going from A to B in a safe way. He or she is a person who makes you open your eyes, who transfer you information, who makes you feel at the end and thinks at the end, oh my God, this is amazing. So, for example, if nobody explains you anything, what type of cheeses are you eating, what local product is that, or what type of path have you been going through, or why are you going in this direction or in other direction, what type of landscape you are visiting. For me, guides are very, very important in order to transfer a message. For example, in my case, depending on the type of routes I'm doing, I transfer a message or other. But what I want is that visitors get to know the place, get familiar with the place. So if you don't know a place, you don't like this place and you don't protect this place. So the guide is a link between the visitors and the landscape. There are different types of theories, of course. Well, of course, a guide needs to have need to be trained, of course. And if you don't have a local guide from the area, this is very important. A local guide who knows very well the region. If we want to get to people, we need a guide. I think this is a fundamental piece of the puzzle. Yes, as you said, the local guide is fundamental to know the place. So, Patri, thanks to your experience, could you please tell us more if your visitors are willing to pay more for a sustainable activity? They are willing to pay more for having a guide informed about the sustainable aspects, for example, in terms of hiking. This is not only about having a great time and being in a natural space, it is also to discover the environment together with passionate people. So, could you please tell us more about this type of clients, if they are willing to pay more? Could you please tell us more about viability? These small groups makes your project viable. For example, when we go abroad, we are willing to pay for a guide, but then when we go nearby, we think we know everything and we are not that willing to pay for a guide. Well, the truth is that despite people are not willing to pay for a guide, I don't know why, because when they pay for a guide, they know it is worth the money. They love the experience. As Cesc said, they transmit information about the culture, the heritage, and the passion for nature. So I have customers who told me next year I'm going to come back and I will pay for a guide, of course. They have enjoyed the experience and they love our guide, but it is true that not everyone is willing to pay more for a guide. There is a profile who is always who always want to pay more, but other people just don't want to pay more. They think they don't need it because they also have a GPS. But what I tell them, and if you don't have internet access, what are you going to do? And then they said, well, I don't want to pay for a guide. And this is a pity because I think hiring a guide, a local guide, it is an amazing experience. They teach you a lot about nature, about how to walk through the mountains, how you move, how you can feel safe. And I think people, not everyone, is aware of this. I think there are some people who need to change their mind, and it's going to take a while. Thank you very much, Patri. We have still a long way to go. We have to insist on the importance of guides. We need to attract visitors in order to learn the importance of having a professional guide familiar with the landscape. Now we have reached the equator of our discussion. I would like to talk about the activity I mentioned at the beginning. We ask you for 5 ideas, 5 words regarding sustainability and hiking. And as you can see on the screen, nature is the main topic. Then other things like health, for example. And this pairing, this duality between nature and health is becoming more and more important. Also culture, local development. I would also like to highlight the load capacity. We have some protected natural values in need of regulation regarding load capacity, not only regarding numbers but also regarding times. We don't want to have these places overcrowded, for example. We also have rural regions, and we are going to keep this survey, these results in mind. And now we are going to continue with a second part, a second block. Now we have seen some individual examples in different companies, and now we are going to talk regarding some collective aspects, how hiking and sustainability are related to the collective. And Javier, these last days, we have been introduced the Charter of Sustainability for Nature Activities in Tenerife, and you have been involved in the drawing of this charter. So could you please tell us more, as a member of a hiking company, what do you think a milestone like this could mean individually for each company, and especially in terms of destination management. This tool could represent an asset for companies like yours in terms of quality, for example. So could you please tell us more how this charter could help your company? Yes, of course. This charter is an initiative we have been working on with around 12 companies related to hiking and gastronomy, particularly. We have created this charter thanks to Turismo de Tenerife. The role of Turismo de Tenerife has been a key and fundamental role. We have not only by carried out good actions, we reach a destination. We want Tenerife to be a hiking destination, a natural destination, but we need to have some foundation. We need to have a charter. For us, offering packages on the island, we all need to know what the good practices are, what practices are important, what requirements we need to have. And we need to define some parameters. For example, comply with some legislation regarding sustainability, responsibility, professionality, ethics, etc. We want to respect this charter, and we hope from the second semester of this year, we hope to comply with this charter and with all the requirements. As you already mentioned, what we try to do is offer a sustainable destination, a responsible destination, so visitors coming here could see how these companies are working well and how they can high activities with these companies because they can feel safe with them. When I go abroad, I prefer to hire an activity with a safe company than with other companies, of course. And with this charter, visitors will know the different points all the companies comply with. And other colleagues from other sectors, I'm sure they can count with us in order to draw a similar charter. Networking is very important too. I'm not going to work alone in my company. I just have a small company. I can't offer everything. So I'm going to network with other colleagues, with other allies from the charter. I want to collaborate with, for example, accommodation companies and with other people who want to have a sustainable destination here in Tenerife. And all these things will define the charter. We are working on this. COVID has stopped a little bit this project, of course, because we have been in lockdown, but we keep on working, and we hope this year we can have this charter signed and also, of course, open to other colleagues who want to join us, colleagues who want to comply with this legislation and good practices, of course. Thank you very much, Javi. I'm sure this will be a successful charter as the charter for whale watching. And this has been an example for the Charter of Sustainability for Nature Activities. You were talking about the work carried out by analyse, and Otero, could you please tell us more about this new initiative? The name is Nordeste de Segovia Ecotourism, and you are part of this initiative for some time. And what you want is to network and create a distinctive value in an inland destination. For example, in the Canary Islands, you have a limited territory, and tourist is very important, of course. But there are some destinations in the Spanish mainland, for example, in Segovia. This place is called like the Spanish Lapland, around 5-6 inhabitants per square kilometer. So it is difficult to create synergies and collaborations. How have you carried out this networking activity?
Pues esto surgió por un grupo pequeño de gente que ya tenía
This
negocios en la
initiative
comarca y
started
quería hacer lo que tú
with
dices, algo
some
más
people,
grande,
with
una marca,
companies
un
in the
destino
area, and they
que se
wanted to
conociera esa comarca y
create
que esto
a
fuera para
brand. They
adelante.
want
Entonces
this
se
region to
empezó a trabajar,
become
nosotras nos
known to
incorporamos
the
pues después
public,
de
so
sobre
we
diciembre del
started to
2019,
work
nosotros
in
nos
December
incorporamos a primeros del
2019,
2020
and we joined this initiative at the
y entonces
beginning
se
of
fue trabajando, ahí había un montón de
2020.
trabajo técnico y
We started
participativo
to
entre, pues
work
somos más o
with
menos
some
unos 40
technical
empresarios y autónomos de la comarca,
activities.
más
We are
agentes
around
públicos
40
que
agents
también
from the
participan
regions and
y
other
poco a poco
public
pues hemos ido trabajando
agents, and we have been
precisamente
working
en eso,
little by little in this
en
sense.
potenciar,
We
en
want to
consolidarnos
promote and
para enseñar todo lo que
consolidate
la
the
comarca
region so we
puede
can
ofrecer.
show visitors
Salir
what
de
this
que
region
el turismo solo
can
sea
offer.
en temporada alta, como decimos, ¿no? En
We
Semana Santa,
don't want
vacaciones de
to have
verano y todo esto,
visitors
salir de la
just in
estacionalidad,
summer or
que
in
haya actividades
Easter.
durante todo el año para que la gente
We
pueda
want
venir
people to come
y eso,
here
potenciar los
in
valores que hemos
other
estado
seasons,
diciendo
and we
de
want to
respeto,
promote
de evitar la
our
masificación,
values
de cuidar y
regarding
sobre todo yo creo que
mass
también de
tourists,
romper con ese
nature.
muro que
We
siempre ha
want
habido de
to
turistas por aquí
break
y
the
de gente local
wall,
por aquí. Que
tourists
se empiece a interactuar,
on one
que,
side and
vamos,
locals
por
on
lo
the other
menos nosotros por
side.
la poca experiencia que tenemos,
We don't have much experience,
las
of
experiencias
course,
que se comparten
but
son muchísimo más enriquecedoras, como
when
decía
we
Ses,
mixed locals and
por las
tourists,
dos partes.
our experiences
También hemos
have an added value.
trabajado en este colectivo, pues
We
como
have
decía
worked
Javier,
also in this
en hacer una serie
collective, and we have
decálogos para
create
autoexigirnos calidad en nuestros servicios, para que la gente que venga a la comarca quede encantado,
some
disfrute
decalogues,
y esto no
so
sea
people
pues, un
coming to
simple
this
caminante por el monte
region
solo, sino que se lleve
could
un montón
focus
de
not
cosas.
only in hiking
Y
but
entonces,
also
las dos
in
líneas que tiene
other
este colectivo, una
activities.
es
For
esa,
example,
conocernos,
first,
potenciar lo que
within this
hacemos
collective, we
y
want to
ayudarnos. Además, en
know
estos
each
tiempos
other,
tan
and
difíciles, yo creo
we want to
que para todos, por
promote
lo menos a
this
nosotras que
region.
estábamos
For us,
empezando, todos nuestros
this has
compañeros
been
han sido un
very,
trabajo
very
y nos han ayudado
important.
un
All
montón,
our
nos han
colleagues
enseñado muchas
have
cosas.
played
Tengo
a
que agradecer a
fundamental
ellos.
role
Y luego, por
to
otro
us.
lado,
We are at the beginning of our
nuestra
project, and
página web,
well,
que
this is one
está un
side,
poco
and
aquí en
on
salida
the
de
other side,
Castellón,
as you can
ahí
see on
estamos de
our
estreno y
website,
aprovechamos
we have just
en el
launched
festival para
our
enlazarla.
website.
Y después teníamos otra línea de trabajo que era
And
hacer
then on the other
un
side,
festival, el
we wanted to
Nordeste Bank
create
Fest,
a
que bueno,
festival,
la primera idea
the
fue
Northeast Bank
presencial
Fest.
y bueno, pues con estas circunstancias ha quedado como en un segundo plano, pero
Due
que no
to
se ha
this
parado para nada.
situation, the
Y que
festival
queríamos utilizar para eso, para acercar
is
a la población
not
local y a los
that
turistas, a enseñarles
active,
qué es lo que
let's
les
say, but we
ofrecemos.
want to show with
Hacer
this
experiencias en
festival
las que
what
colaboramos
we
distintas
can offer
empresas de este
to
colectivo
visitors. There are different companies involved within the festival, and we want to combine culture, gastronomy, nature, activities. We want people to live a great experience. And the idea of the festival is that we don't want people to listen about the festival. We want people to come here and live the festival. Thank you very much, Otero. So I invite you to check all these websites. I have had the opportunity to surf these websites. And now we are going to talk about other collective activities. In order to finish this part, we are going to talk about other festivals. And I would like to talk with the hiking festivals of the Pyrenees directed by CESC. These festivals will be around 13. I hope this number will be a lucky number. And these festivals are different from the Tenerife Walking Festival. So, CESC, could you please tell us more about these festivals, about the model you are following? These festivals are a concentration of different festivals throughout Catalonia. Yes, first of all, I'm going to tell you something about the story of these festivals. Many years ago, in the Alt Pirineus Arand, there is an institute in the Arand Valley, and this institute joins several public and private authorities interested in hiking and path. We have guides here, we have town councils, and in 2016, 4 territories within this Alt Daran, they decided to create a festival, and they coordinate with each other. And we discovered this was a great potential for the area, and there were many people interested in this experience who wanted to do similar things. So, we have 3 axes. Let's see. First is hiking. Explain hiking as a physical and healthy activity. Those practicing hiking take care of themselves. Then we want to explain everything about our territory in terms of nature, gastronomy, etc. And the third axis is the local guide. We want to promote this role. Why you must pay for a guide, because it is very, very important. And then little by little from these 4 festivals, we have been increasing, and now in the Pirineo d'Aran we started, and now we go from the Alt Empordà to Val d'Aran. And there are some regions which one festival or even more than one festival, and we have chartered. We have draw a charter together in order to comply with some points, like, for example, sustainability. We have connected 13 different regions. Each festival is different, with different guides, with different activities, and even with different days a week or during the weekend. But they all want to respect supplementary activities, local guides, and they also want to have competitive prices, for example.
abarcar mucho tiempo,
affordable
que estos
prices,
festivales no se pisen, que no
and
coincidan en fechas.
it is also a good
Entonces, ahora
idea
mismo,
not
estamos en mayo,
to
acabamos en octubre.
overlap
Y, en
one festival
principio,
with
hasta
another,
aquí explico.
and we start in May until the end of October, for example. Thank you very much, Cesc. This is very interesting. It is great to see how these festivals coordinate with each other in order to offer this festival from spring to autumn. And now let's talk about one of these festivals in depth. So, Patrick, could you please tell us more about the Valdearan Walking Festival? This festival has been awarded with a Fitur award. Could you please tell us more about how this festival works, the number of visitors? I think in this edition you are going to divide the type of public, the type of audience. Well, the Valdaran Walking Festival lasts for a week. You can do it in a week or in just 2 days, 3 days, what you want. Since the beginning, we had around 90 participants. With all activities, nearly 700 participants, and in the second year we doubled the number. And then the next year we had less audience. We had to tell visitors we were full because we wanted to respect guidelines. We want to offer good quality. We don't want a mass festival. We wanted to have small groups.
Luego, respecto, pues mira, nosotros con el festival sí que nos hemos dado cuenta con estos 3 años de que teníamos público.
These last 3 years, we have discovered we had different type of visitors. We have, on the one hand, hikers, walkings, and trekkings, let's say. We have more walking audience and then hiking and trekking audience. So this is quite a challenge to coordinate. So we made a survey this year in order to define these groups, and they vote. They want to be split into groups. In July we have the walking part at the end of July, and then in August we will have the hiking, trekking. This is aimed at a very specialized type of visitors. They will go through landscapes with nearly 3,000 meters high mountains. We will have guides. This year the situation will be obviously different, but next year we want to have conferences, even workshops, first aid workshops, etc. All focus on the mountains, particularly. Great, Patrick, thank you. We are in the last part of this webinar, and I would like you to make us some questions. We already have some of these questions, and I would like to do 2 things, if it is okay for you. First, I would like to make you some questions, and then I would like you to play a game. Each of you can give us 1 or 2 ideas maximum, very precise ideas about how we can improve sustainability in terms of our activities, very basic things. For example, we share a bottle of water with our customers, and we can reuse this bottle, for example. So before playing this game, I give you a couple of minutes. Well, let's give you some opinions.
Creo que ha generado bastante debate
I
todo el
think
tema vinculado
there is
con
quite
la
a
regulación.
debate
También con la
around
regulación
legislation
vinculada con los espacios
and
naturales y el
regulation,
hecho, por ejemplo,
particularly
pues, de pagar
in
una tasa
natural spaces,
para
and if
poder
you have to
participar, para
pay
poder entrar
something in
dentro
order
de
to
algún espacio
access
natural
a
protegido,
protected
¿no? Lo que se llama estos
area.
sistemas payback, ¿no?
This
Que
is a
ayudan, que
payback
contribuyen
system,
a que parte
and
de
this
esos beneficios
system
reviertan en
helps
la
to
conservación de la
preserve
naturaleza de ese espacio que se
these
diseña.
natural
Yo no sé
spaces.
si en alguno de los espacios donde estáis trabajando,
I
este
don't
tipo de
know
sistemas
if
se incorporan
these
o en alguna de las actividades,
systems
sean individuales o colectivas, una parte de esos beneficios se revierten
are
después en la conservación del entorno.
good in order
¿Alguno
to
me podría
invest
dar algún
in the
ejemplo que nos
protection
podría
of
visualizar un
these
poquito
natural
esto?
spaces? Could you please
Simplemente
tell
que
us
levante la mano
an
y
example?
adelante.
Just please raise your hand and tell us your experience.
¿No? Bueno, pues dejadme que os haga una sugerencia,
Well,
porque creo que
let's
Cesc
make
antes
a
ha comentado
suggestion.
que dentro
Cesc,
del proyecto
before
Ramat de
you
Camins
told us
llevan a cabo
in your
actividades
project
de
Ramat de
voluntariado
Camins,
para
you
mejorar el
carried
entorno,
out
¿no?
volunteering
Supongo
activities in
que
order
hace
to
referencia
preserve
a la
the
mejora de
environment.
caminos o a
I
la
think you were talking
recuperación
about
pues, de muros de losetas,
path
etcétera. No sé si nos puedes
preservations,
comentar un poquito
etc.
más,
Could you
que en
please
cierto
tell
modo
us
eso podría
more
llegar a ser como un
about
sistema
this
de conservación y de
experience,
mejora
how
por parte de
this
una actividad?
activity can preserve the environment?
Sí, la finalidad
Yes, the aim
es de que,
of
claro,
this
son 315
activity,
kilómetros
well, in total we have
de camino.
315
Esto
kilometers
mantenerlo,
path.
aunque es camino
So
público, es muy
this is
difícil.
a public
Si ya
path,
cuesta que
but
esté bien una carretera, ¿no?
its
De acceso a un
maintenance
pueblo,
is
pues
very
imaginaros un
difficult.
camino. Y entonces era una manera de decir, bueno,
So
también
this
tenemos, ya que
was a
gozamos,
way
disfrutamos de este
to
patrimonio, pues también tendríamos que
enjoy
dar nuestro
this
granito de arena
heritage,
y
of course,
ayudar
but we
en este
also need to
mantenimiento.
contribute and
Entonces,
protect
lo que se intenta
this
es
path.
gente. Hay diferentes modelos, pero la
We
idea
have
es
different
gente
models,
que
but the
no puede
idea
hacer
is
nada, pero
that
sí que puede
people
avisar que hay
who
un problema, entonces que
can't
nos
do
avise.
anything, of course,
Otra
but
gente que hace
they can
voluntariado, que
inform
un día
us
quedamos
about
y
the
arreglamos un tramo,
problem. Or, for
y otra
example,
gente que es como
there
que
are
apadrina y dice, mira, yo
volunteers
no tengo
who
tiempo, pero
can
sí que
help
tengo
us.
dinero, entonces lo
We
da y
also
sirve
have
para
sponsors who
esta idea
raise money and
no me la he inventado.
help us to
Si dentro de aquí del
preserve
territorio
the
hay más
path. This is
ejemplos
not a good
parecidos.
idea.
Por
This
ejemplo,
is not
tenemos
a new
la
idea.
ruta
Sorry.
Sunqueyac, que ha
We
hecho
have
todo un
other
proyecto que se llama
examples
Latitud, que es
in the
devolver
area
al
with a
territorio
project called Latitude
proteger unas
in
zonas,
this region, and the aim
teniendo
of
en
this
cuenta
project is to
la
protect
tasa de CO2,
some regions and to
moverte hasta el
reduce
sitio.
the CO2
Bueno, son diferentes modelos
levels.
que se está haciendo.
And these are different models,
Referente
of
a
course.
a la otra pregunta que has hecho,
Regarding your
comentarte
previous
que,
question,
claro, que es un debate
well, there is
que está en
a
boga, que
debate
dentro de la
around
Asociación
this
de Guías donde yo
topic.
estoy, que estoy
Within
dentro
the
del Parque
Guide
Nacional de Guastatoya
Association,
San Mauricio y también del Parque Natural, la comentamos, ¿no? Y no
I
es
work
fácil,
with,
porque
it is
hay
not
gente
easy, of course,
que ve muy claro que sí que se tiene que pagar algo,
because
y otra
there
gente
are
que dice
visitors
que el pagar
who
excluye a gente
know, well,
que no tiene
it is
poder
perfectly
adquisitivo
fine
para
to
poder
pay
hacer.
for visit
Pero lo que está
a
claro que
protected
algo
area,
tenemos que
but
hacer,
other
porque
people
todos
don't
tenemos
understand
que
this
eso
because
está muy
they
bonito
can't
y
afford
tenemos que
this.
preservarlo.
But
La
we need to
fórmula
become
encontrarla
aware that
no
this
la
is
hemos
a
descubierto desde
beautiful
aquí,
and precious
pero está claro que lo que sí tenemos que
protected
hacer
area,
es
and we need
tener en
to
cuenta las
preserve
visiones
it.
de todo el mundo,
So we need
de
to
todos,
bear in mind
a la
the
gente local,
opinions
de la gente
of
de afuera, de
everyone,
escuchar a todo el mundo.
opinions from locals, from visitors, etc.
De hecho, esta visión que ahora
Well,
comentas,
it
¿no?
is
Esta visión
true that
participativa, esta visión
this
colaborativa,
approach,
donde,
this collective
a la hora de tomar una
vision
decisión, escuchar las diferentes voces, las
is
diferentes
important in order
percepciones,
to
creo que
make
seguramente
a
es la
decision.
mejor manera, ¿no?
And this is
de conseguir y consensuar
maybe the
una
best
propuesta
way in order
que en
to
definitiva
reach
no es una fórmula
an
mágica,
agreement.
no
This
es una
is
fórmula
not
que
a
puede
magic
aplicarse
formula,
a todos
of
los
course.
territorios, pero sí
It
que
is
hay
a
algunas
formula
ideas
that
básicas, como
can
bien
be
comentabas
applied
ahora,
to
¿no? El
all
hecho de
territories.
favorecer esa conservación
But
a partir de
we
una
need to
regulación, una
preserve
regulación que después
these
puede
areas
llevar a cabo
thanks
tanto
to
con una
legislation,
cantidad
of course.
máxima o en determinadas temporadas
For
de número de
example,
visitantes,
by
o el hecho
regulating
de
the load
reducir ese
capacity,
número de
of course,
visitas
by
poniendo una
reducing the
cantidad.
number of
Sí que es verdad
visitors.
que este hecho lo que hace es
it is obvious that this tax will exclude people who cannot pay for it, but this will be another debate. And before giving the floor to Mar, I'm sure she will give us a great summary at the end of this webinar. I would like to listen to you again so you can give us your opinions regarding some proposals. These proposals can be applied by other professionals in order to promote their activities. For example, Javier, let's begin with you. Please tell us a precise idea where we can apply sustainability regarding hiking. For example, in my case, for some time, I think hiking has become in a key element for rural areas. Normally, we are in areas without villages or economy, but I think our activity is a very good asset, an economic engine for the village or for the accommodation or for the shop we discover through our path. We can help a crafter or a farmer. I think we can do a great contribution, of course. We organize activities with them, and we want these visitors to live the best experience ever regarding these activities. For example, a good contribution could be the last beer, for example. This is what visitors think, but if we are doing a path, for example, maybe a good contribution could be a beer, but it could also be, why not, buying a cheese in Teno Alto, or doing a craft workshop by a local crafter, for example, or doing a craft in a local restaurant, for example, taste a local dish. It doesn't matter the place, but it's going to be a different experience, and every experience could be a good contribution. And this is what we would like to offer, and we would like to follow in this sense, because if we don't contribute to this local farmer or local crafter, for example, if we don't contribute with them, I'm sure in the future this company or this person will disappear. So we are the tool for these people to keep on working and keep on living from this activity. Thank you very much, Javi. Very interesting, your idea. Now, just 30 seconds. Otero, please give me an example of how to promote sustainability. Well, three things. Small groups,
contribuir a actividades, como ha dicho, de voluntariado,
volunteering activities in order to balance the carbon footprint, for example. And third, synergy
empresas, como ha dicho, aprovechar
with
nuestra
other
ruta
companies.
y a descubrir otras cosas,
Discover
otros oficios,
other
otras
companies,
empresas.
other jobs. That's all.
Fantástico. Muchas gracias, Otero,
Thank
por
you,
la
Otero.
concreción y la claridad. Cesc,
Cesc,
cuéntanos
tell
algunas
us
ideas que
anything, some ideas
para mejorar esa sostenibilidad
in
de
order
las
to
actividades
improve
de Tenerife.
sustainability?
Uf, no sé si en 30 segundos
Well,
tiene
I don't know
tiempo,
if
pero para
30
mí,
seconds will be
conceptualmente,
enough, but for me,
sería o sea, buscar sinergias con
find
iniciativas
synergies
locales,
with
task
local
no inventar la
initiatives,
rueda si ya está inventada, o sea, colaborar, hacer red y
collaborate,
ser coherente.
networking,
Sobre todo
and be
ser coherente
coherent,
hasta donde
particularly
puedas.
be
Pero, por
coherent.
ejemplo, aquí en el Pirineo
For
tenemos
example,
este
here
problema
at
del
the
movimiento,
Pyrenees,
de moverse con vehículo.
we have the
Si hoy
problem
ofrezco
of
el
traveling
traslado de
by car.
equipaje,
So if
claro,
I don't
se
offer
mueve con un vehículo.
transfer your
Entonces,
luggage,
claro, intento ser
if we
coherente
don't have
hasta
a car, well,
límites,
I need to be coherent, of course.
Perfecto.
Perfect,
Pues muchas gracias,
Cesc. Thank you.
Patri, te va a tocar cerrar
Patri,
con
you are going
algunas
to
ideas.
finish
Te ha
with
lanzado un
some
guante aquí, Cesc,
ideas.
por ejemplo, con el tema de la movilidad.
Regarding
Creo que
mobility,
tengo algo de información al respecto,
I
que
have
creo
some
que vosotros también
information.
participáis en esta
You
idea de
also
los
participate
transfers
in
más
this
sostenibles, aprovechando el
idea
transporte
of
público.
transfer.
Cuéntanos algunas ideas concretas
Could you please tell
que
us
nos puedan inspirar
some
acerca de la sostenibilidad.
ideas regarding
Bueno,
sustainability?
nosotros en el festival
Well,
intentamos
in
de
the
hacer
festival,
una movilidad más sostenible.
we want to have
Porque,
a
claro, son
sustainable
muchos vehículos que se
mobility
mueven.
because there is
Entonces,
a
pues,
large number
como
of
digo, autocar,
vehicles.
que esta forma
We
se
offer
mueve un vehículo
a
en carro,
bus.
tener que
You
mover
only
40
move
coches.
one vehicle, not
Y luego
40, of
también
course.
con los taxistas de
And
la
then
zona,
we also
porque
collaborate
tenemos
with
un
local
taxi de 7 a
taxis
8 personas, reduciendo
because
así
we can
el
have
impacto
a
del transporte,
taxi
porque
for
no
7 or 8
solamente de
people, of
moverse,
course.
sino del lugar
It's
donde
not
se van a aparcar,
only
la zona,
to
todo un poco.
improve the number of
Y luego
vehicles,
también
but
con
also
actividades en las
where this vehicle is
que
going to
fomentamos
park,
el uso
etc. And we also have some
del uso del Parque
activities
Nacional.
where we
La
promote
gente no tenga que moverse en coche y utilice ese servicio.
other
Y bueno,
type
hay gente, la
of
verdad que sí que lo utiliza bastante.
services, not
Me
just
gustaría que lo utilizaran más, pero bueno.
the vehicles.
Muy bien, pues muchísimas gracias.
Well,
a
thank
todos
you
y a
very
todas
much,
por
Patri.
vuestras
Thank you very much
sugerencias y
for
propuestas.
your
Hemos abordado
suggestions,
muchísimos
for your
temas.
contributions.
Y
We have
ahora
talked
le doy la
about
palabra
many
a
topics,
Mar
and now
Ramírez, que
I'm
nos
giving the
sintetizará
floor
todas
to
estas
Mar
ideas y
Rodriguez,
seguro que
who is going
podemos
to
llevar a casa
summarize, to make a
un
summary
pequeño saco, una
of
mochila
all
con
these
muchas
ideas.
visiones para poder acompañaros en el camino. Adelante, Mar.
Please, Mar, go ahead.
Gracias, Xavi.
Thank you very
La verdad
much,
es que yo no sé si
Xavi.
puedo aportar
I don't know
mucho
if
más, porque habéis
I
hecho un
can
webinar
say
fantástico.
anything. This has
Sacado
been a
unos
fabulous
elementos que yo creo que son
webinar. You have
esenciales
talked about
en este
key
momento,
elements
con referencia
nowadays.
a la pandemia que estamos viviendo,
Regarding
pero
the
también con
pandemics we
referencia al
are
futuro del senderismo.
living on, I think
Este
this
broche final
webinar
que habéis
has
puesto todos, yo
been
no voy a
a
tocarlo.
jewel.
Sí que voy a destacar un poco
I would like
pues, lo
to
que habéis ido
highlight
resaltando vosotros durante toda
some
la
things
conversación,
you
¿no?
have mentioned
Empezando por
throughout this
Javi, que a mí me
discussion.
ha parecido muy
First,
importante cómo esa
Javi,
sostenibilidad ha ido
he
creciendo, ha
talked
sido algo
about
orgánico en una empresa
the
que ha visto
improvement
cómo
of
necesitaba muchos
sustainability.
pilares. La sostenibilidad ya no se sustenta solo en un
Sustainability
pilar, sino que tiene muchos pilares y que además
is
es
focused
necesario.
on
Es
different
necesario sobre todo
ACEs,
por
for
algo muy
example,
importante, que
and
yo
it
creo
is
que todos
very
tenemos de base, que es
necessary
ese medio ambiente, esa
for
naturaleza
the
en la que
nature
vivimos y en la que
because we
desarrollamos
live
nuestras actividades. Entonces ahí ha quedado muy claro que la
in
conservación
in
es uno de
nature.
los
So
pilares
this
fundamentales,
is
la interpretación, el valor de
why
ese
the
entorno
nature
y la
should be
regulación, que es
preserved
un tema que se ha
and
repetido
why
mucho y que yo creo que
there
también es
should
algo
be
que
a
todos
regulation in order
desconocemos.
to protect
Utilizamos
nature.
el medio ambiente,
We are all
pero hay que
worried
saber
about this
utilizarlo,
situation. We
regular el
use
uso.
the environment, but
Entonces,
we need
ese
to
senderismo
regulate the use of
más
this
sostenible con
environment.
propósito me ha parecido muy interesante y una idea que nos tenemos que
And I
llevar en esta
think
mochila que hoy
this
estamos desvelando.
has been
Por
a
otro lado,
great idea.
yo la verdad es que como mujer me
On the
emociona
other hand,
recibir a Otero.
me as
Hemos
a
tenido
woman,
chicas que nos han emocionado mucho porque
I'm
hemos
very
tenido
proud
como
of
montañeras
Otero.
pakistaníes que
I'm
nos
very
trajo
proud of
Sebastián Álvaro,
her
que nos
project.
emocionaron porque
We also
realmente
have
son
some
niñas,
mountaineering girls
en
at
su país son mujeres,
that
pero
with
realmente
the
son
Las
niñas,
Chicas de
porque
Uche
hacen
project
mucho
from
por hacer
Sebastián
en
Álvaro.
Otero, en Tenerife, pero hoy Otero nos ha traído que
Today,
realmente
Otero
en
has
tiempos de
talked
pandemia
us
se
about
puede avanzar,
how we can
creando un
improve
proyecto tan bonito
even
como
in
el que
these
vosotros habéis creado. Con esa humildad, además de decir, bueno, estoy entre grandes,
days,
pero
these
aportáis
difficult
algo
days
nuevo,
we are living
aportáis ilusión y
due to
sobre
the
todo valor al
pandemic.
territorio. Entonces,
You
yo
love
creo que también
your
es
region
muy
and you want to
interesante
promote your
esa
region. I
combinación de
think your
naturaleza y deporte.
project a combination between nature and sport. This is a great idea. People love more and more nature and sport, and they want to combine and to promote this activity. I love your contribution and the importance to highlight the networking. So, Otero, please go ahead. You are in the good way. And thank you very much to do it just nowadays in these difficult days we are living. For SESC, thank you very much to talk to us about the Pyrenees and the festivals, to promote this public road and to promote the history of these roads and the involvement of locals too, and the importance of maintaining those roads. This is quite a hard job, and your projects, your volunteering projects, are fundamental in order to maintain this hiking alive in a sustainable way, of course. I also like the estimation you made and your positive view, and it is that 92% of the benefits of the money stay in this region. Patricia, what can I say? We have a meeting at the Valderan. You have loads of things there, and your 20 years experience give us the opportunity to go there and to enjoy this path. You have been working hard throughout this year in order to make the customers aware of the environment. They want to discover they are the key to protect the environment. They are the guides are also important. They are the translator, they are the interpreters of the landscape. When we meet guides abroad, we think they are important, but here in Spain, we forget about them, and they are a key asset for these activities, and they are waiting for us. Hiking is waiting for us. Hiking is an added value activity here in Spain, and these guides are fundamental, are the key, I think. And well, I think get to know new people is perfect. You can go with old guides you already know, and also you can hire new guides. And now with the survey we carried out, nature is fundamental, and also authenticity and health, particularly nowadays in those times. Culture is very, very important too. And culture is important even in fragile and protected places. And I think every path is in need of protection, of regulation, all these fragile places. So we need to start thinking in other focuses. It is not only a right but an obligation. And well, we also talk about the Charter of Sustainability for nature activities, and these nature activities will develop a lot, particularly because the companies involved are very interested in promoting this charter, and you are going to do a great things, and is that hiking involves local community and affordable activity, and we also want people to become involved in this activity. There is a combination of experiences, also love for nature and love for hiking is important. As biologists, I think this is the key point of all your presentations. We are in an island which is working for a biosphere certification. This is a new type of tourist which wants to promote sustainability, and this is a good asset. Javier, we will wait for the second semester of this year to see the Charter of Sustainability. And well, I have learned many things in these webinars, but I would like the quote is darle arrope, said by Aida Cedrés at the beginning. Darle arrope, like to protect. She was talking about governance, and it's like we all need to work together through sustainability, and this is a key asset too. And we all need to be involved and to work together. We have seen this idea in this seminar, and I would like, Chappy, I'm going to steal something. The roads are a heritage, and we need to walk through these roads. Now we have our rucksack full of experiences. We can continue having new experiences. Tomorrow we have a networking session, a B2B session, and we can all talk, and all our audience can network too. You can register tomorrow the whole day, and I think this is also a very good point of this festival. And on Friday we will have the closing event, an emotional closing event. And in April, I think Tenerife is going to surprise us. So let's see what Tenerife is going to offer us in April. So Xavi, I don't have much to say. So anything left? Thank you very much, Mar. Thank you very much, everyone, every participant. I'm not going to be long. Well, we keep on working, and let's see each other on the way. Thank you.